Hello everyone, this is Big C044 on YouTube, and welcome to my first annual wrestling podcast. If you're wondering what this is, it's basically something I will do twice or three times a week. Well, once or three times a week, sorry. I will recap the week's happenings in wrestling. It's a 10 to 15 minute clip where I'll just talk about my opinions and wrestling as a whole. I'll tag on Monday Night Raw, SmackDown. I'll even tag on Impact, even though it sucks. I mean, let's be honest, Impact has been bad as of late. I might tag on NXT if men get back into the sport. I'll let you know right now. If you like women's wrestling and you came to my show looking for that, you're in the wrong spot. I don't want to talk about it. It's a joke to me. You look one week, she's the champion. There's a girl who's a champion. 2 weeks later, she's out of a job. It is just such a joke. The moves are horrible. Alicia Fox was a champion for several months, and the girl was putting other women's lives at danger because she was so bad in the ring. I mean, could you imagine a WWE champion? Well, Great Khali. I guess I just trumped myself. But, yeah. Still, I'm not going to discuss it. I don't enjoy it, and if that's what you're looking for, look elsewhere. You can read Betty Boop's podcast, wherever that takes place. A little background on me. I've been watching wrestling since I was 10, so 11 years it's been now. I'm 21. I enjoy WWE. I will talk a lot about Raw. It's my favorite show. I watch that every week. I do watch SmackDown, not live, I guess it's never live, but not on Fridays always. I will usually watch it Thursdays on YouTube. I do not watch Impact anymore. It's just become too hard to sit through 2 hours of that show, and I'll get into that in a minute. So I will recap. I will give you my thoughts on TNA, though I do keep up with it. I just don't watch it. I usually will read a recap on WrestleView.com, which is my website where I get my wrestling information from. My favorite wrestlers are Edge, Kurt Angle, The Nexus, MVP, D'Angelo De Niro. Yeah, among some. I have a lot, but those are a couple of my favorites. My least favorites range from John Cena to Eric Bischoff, Dixie Carter, Hulk Hogan, Jeff Hardy, pretty much the entire TNA roster. And my least favorite is Batista, but I will not talk about him because that piece of garbage is no longer in any company, thank God. Anyway, let's get started. I said earlier I'll give you one or three shows a week. Every week I will guarantee post a podcast on either Monday night or Tuesday during the day, and that will be discussing Monday Night Raw, SmackDown. It'll be discussing the week in general. It's my weekly podcast. I'll talk about anything wrestling related. Anything you guys ask, you put in the comments section, I'll address that. I will address, each show on a separate basis. Probably spend about 5 minutes on each show. 3 shows, that gets you to about 15 minutes of a podcast. Every Sunday of a pay-per-view, I will post a podcast as well. This podcast will be a predictions podcast where I will predict and preview the pay-per-view of the evening. It'll be about 6 to 7 minutes. I'll just let you know who I pick to win the match, why, and what I think about it. The pay-per-view as a whole, I guess. You can also find my predictions sometimes on WrestleView.com, my favorite website. I'm going to plug it as much as I can because I feel like it's just an amazing source of information for a wrestling fan. WrestleView.com. There's a weekly article I read. They have a lot of good writers. I'm a student and I work part-time, so it's hard to find time to read all of their columnists. I do every week read Mr. V's. I forget the name of it. It's Anthony Volvo. He's a writer on there, and he writes an article every week. He basically gives out his best and worst of the week, and it's a very good article. I would recommend it to anyone who's a wrestling fan. It's Mr. V's something classroom or something. It's on Thursdays, every Thursday. So you check it out. Go to WrestleView.com on Thursdays to check that out, and then you can check out the predictions Sundays of the pay-per-view. They usually have them posted around 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. So before you put on the football, you can check that out. Yeah, I do pick with him, and the predictions you can pick with the faculty. They'll basically have all of their recappers and their columnists give their picks, and you can send your picks in as well. And if you get the most picks right out of all the people who sent their picks in, you actually get to post your picks on the website. Luckily, right before this podcast, I was able to be that. They call it the student of the week. I was the or student of the month. I'm not sure. I was the student of the week for the Survivor Series, as I posted a 6-1 record. The only match I incorrectly predicted was, unfortunately, Wade Barrett over John Cena, or Wade Barrett over Randy Orton, which, as we all know today, I was wrong, and I'll get into that in a minute. But yeah, so that's basically going to be what the show's about. If you like it, you can keep listening. If you don't, you don't have to listen. If you want to listen and say, oh, well, this Big C's an idiot, do it. I don't care. I mean, I love the criticism. I can take it. If you listen to me and you're like, wow, this guy's a tool, you can post it in the comments. I don't really give a damn, if you hate me or you like me. But I do give a damn. I would prefer that you like me. But anyways, yeah, so if you're looking for a guy that's gonna blow smoke up Cena's ass, or talk women's wrestling and talk a little Natty Neidhart or some Beth Phoenix, you're in the wrong spot, because I'm not doing that. I will talk about real wrestling in this podcast. All right, let's get into it then. Yesterday was Survivor Series, and boy, I'll tell you what, it is probably one of the biggest letdowns I've had in a long time. Actually, no, it's not. It's the biggest letdown I've had since bragging rights. I went into bragging rights with a smile on my face, and I left looking like an idiot. Same thing happened last night. First match of the night was Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson. I think people in the internet community are calling him Daniel Bryanson, combining it, defending his U.S. title against Teddy DiBiase. It was followed the script match. It was easy to predict. I predicted Daniel Bryan would win, and he did. It was pretty much the exact. If you didn't have to watch it, you know what happened. Daniel Bryan won that match. I'd expect to see these two continuing a feud into possibly TLC. I like the fact that on Survivor Series card, all of the 5 championships were defended. Once again, just so you know, I don't count women's wrestling, so the 6th title doesn't exist in my mind. But all the 5, the Intercontinental, the U.S., the Tag, both worlds, all 5 of the, world championships were defended, which I think you should get if you want people to pay money for the pay-per-view. Anyway, yeah, I wasn't that impressed with the first match. I thought Daniel Bryan hit some good moves, but it was a decent match. After that, we had Sheamus versus John Morrison. Again, I don't know if this was, in my mind, this was pretty much following the script. I didn't know John Morrison would win. I predicted him to, but still, it was pretty much just the exact way I thought it would happen. I thought they would give J-Mo a win because I think he's elevating himself to that next level, the level of main eventer, and I could see him being involved in the WWE Championship match at the Elimination Chamber, or, going deep into the Royal Rumble. And I could even see him winning Money in the Bank if they do it at Mania. I don't think they will, but if they do, I could see him being, the guy that gets it. Sheamus, he didn't need a win. I mean, he's been so good as of late that he could afford a loss. Not much else to say about that. I was surprised to see Morrison didn't hit the Starship Pain to win the match. He hit some weird double combination where he ended up hitting Sheamus with his knee. The next match was Ziggler versus Caval for the IC title. Again, some people picked Caval to win. This pretty much followed my standard. I didn't think Caval would win. Ziggler beat MVP, he beat McIntyre, he beat Kingston. I just didn't see him losing to Caval, of all people. I feel it's kind of cheap because Caval earned that title shot, and usually when you have to earn a title shot like that, you win the title, but he didn't. I digress. It was a decent match. Ended with a kind of a shady win. Next match was the Mysterio versus Del Rio teams, and it was just an abomination in my mind. MVP got probably the second biggest pop of the night behind Cena, and he was eliminated first. Now, of course, the reason he got the pop was because he was the hometown guy, but you'd think WWE would actually let the guy stay out there for more than 30 seconds. Anyways, he was the first one out. Del Rio was the first one out for his team. It was just a bad match. And it was exactly any fan could have said, oh, the two sole survivors will be Mysterio and Big Show. It was predictable, beyond predictable. So I'm not even going to talk about that match. By the way, Tyler Rex, this guy, I don't think I could be more bored by a character than Tyler Rex. Natalya beat Lay Cool, who cares? I actually got to go pee during that match, which was nice. Kane versus Edge. I predicted Kane to win. They actually threw us a loop here, and it was a draw. And basically, I think you know my thoughts on this. It's a way to set up a match at TLC. Taker's not going to be back until at least Mania. Now they're saying after the surgery, they're going to keep the belt on Kane. Maybe Edge will win at TLC. I could see him possibly winning only because Kane could win it back in time for Mania. Kane's going to hold that belt walking into Mania, and he's going to probably face The Undertaker. In my opinion, as of now, that could change. Things always change. The next match is the match of the night. Let's get into it. John Cena referees Wade Barrett versus Randy Orton. Free or fired, right? Wrong. Free or fired was a joke. It was meaningless. Everything, I'm going to go on a little rant here. Everything that has happened since WWE's Hell in the Cell has been an absolute joke. Because you look at it now, John Cena lost to Barrett, so he had to be in Nexus. If Barrett had lost to Cena that night, Nexus would have disbanded. They wouldn't have come back. That would have been it. But Cena lost, so he joined Nexus, and all he had to do was help Barrett get to the top. He didn't actually have to help him achieve anything. So Barrett ends up getting nothing out of this ordeal other than a few championship matches that he lost. And you know what the best part is? Cena didn't call it down the middle like he said he would. Cena cost Barrett the match when he pushed Barrett into an RKO at the end. It was an absolute joke, and I couldn't be more upset. And I will tag more of that in my upcoming podcast, which will probably be done in a couple hours after Monday Night Raw, when I have more of an idea of what's going to happen. But we all know there's no way they're keeping Cena off TV for even a week. He'll be on tonight. He'll probably run through the crowd and beat the hell out of Barrett, and the anonymous GM will reinstate him. Which means this whole storyline was a joke. Free or fired, all of us fans knew that meant Barrett was gonna win the title, because there's no way they're gonna fire their top dog. Well, they did. They dangled it in front of us, and they screwed us all. Anyways, like I said, I'll tag more on that in the upcoming podcast, in which I'll discuss Raw from tonight's Raw. I will discuss last week's SmackDown as well as last week's TNA. The upcoming TNA pay-per-view is Turning Point, featuring Fortune and their stupid little 4 sign where they hold the 4 up like a bunch of idiots. And yeah, so I'll have my predictions for that on Sunday, and you can also check out my predictions. Since I was Student of the Week with a 6-1 record, you can check out my predictions on WrestleView.com, where I'll be picking as a Student of the Week under the name Brian C. I'll give you a little more information about the predictions and how they work in that segment, and I might, tag it a little bit in the upcoming podcast I'll be doing post Monday Night Raw. So thank you. Leave comments in the comment sections. Bash me, like me, do whatever you want. Ask me questions. It's all game. Thanks for listening. Bye.